order to discuss the preliminary budget and salary plan. And I want it to be noted that Commissioner Pierce is by phone for this meeting. So at this time, I will call on our administrator to give his report on the budget.
Just a preliminary approval of the budget, primarily so that we can communicate to the county what our mill levy will be, and they can send out the documentation to all homeowners in advance of the September 19th public hearing date. And so just a quick rundown, salary plan, cost of living increase for city employees at 5% across the board. And then included in the packet is the position authorizations with just a slight change in the fire department. And as I noted, I updated it today as I needed to make a slight change to a typo in the sanitation department, but nothing material changed as of that. Health insurance is budgeted at 7% increase. Again, we're still waiting for rates from Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think it's my understanding that that's around the state. That's a common theme. The sanitation budget assumes a $1 increase in the base rate of the sanitation fees, and we'll approve rates and fees, the rates and fees schedule for 2023 closer to December. General fund mill levy remains the same at 76.11. With we have 7,500 extra going to the Lake Region Heritage Center out of conversations we had with the commission and the desire to help support and get her some part-time help over there. I would note that in the 2021 actuals, the engineering fees are estimates. We're still working on getting the actuals. We have a rough estimate as to what we believe the number for the projects in 2021 were, and we went with the percentage there. So by the time the final approval comes, that number might change slightly. And again, I would just remind you guys that you can't increase the budget from now on, but you can decrease. So with that, I would just recommend and request a motion before you as written in the staff report is what we're looking for, which includes the preliminary budget, the salary plan, and setting the public hearing date. I would welcome any questions.
Well, that's where I was the only thing I had a question on, I was trying to get it to open again. It closed on me unexpectedly here. Is the staff report, I had it open and I lost it. Just bear with me 1 second here.
Well, we got it here.
Well, with the fire department, there's 3 positions. I think, is it 8, 9, and 10 or 7, 8, and 9? I can't.
8, 9, 10.
8, 9, 10.
Yes.
So does that mean there's 3 positions that could be either an 8, a 9, or a 10? Is that what that means?
They're all based on qualifications. So if you come into the fire department with very little experience, you'd start at an 8, and it's clearly written in the packet that we had presented in prior
They
meetings.
could all at one time be a 10.
They could
at some point in time.
Yeah, they all could if they do reach all the certifications and the experience. I would say if we had 3 firefighters with all that experience, that would probably be a good thing for the city of Devils Lake. We would have a very qualified fire department. And if we have some younger folks, they'll start at an 8 and they'll have a vision for moving forward.
And previously, was it 2 at an 8? Or what was it before? What was it?
They were 9s, I believe.
Yeah.
But most of the guys were not qualified when I was there anyhow. And then they moved into 9s. It grew into a 9.
Yeah.
So that 9 that they grew into now back then is now becoming a 10 as we understand.
So previously we had 1 10 opening and then 2 at 9.
2 at 9, correct.
Okay, so going forward, we could potentially have 3 10s.
Correct.
Which
Would require significant experience and certification. They would be long-term
Time and
employees at that point.
okay, yeah, and so just for clarification, because I want to try and make it as even across the board as we can.
Mhm.
Like if the police department wanted to have potentially 3 captains, right now they got 1 captain and 4 sergeants. If the sergeants had the skill set and the qualifications, could Joe ask to have 3 captains instead of 1?
I would say,
Okay, to help clarify, there's a little confusion when you talk captain and captain. A captain in the fire department is different than a captain in the police. The captain in the police is basically the assistant, like our assistant chief.
Okay.
And a captain in the fire department is one of these crew leaders, so that they're basic, they're called a captain, but they're what there are two bugle person versus a captain who's in direct charge. Our captains are more of a crew leader. And the fire department's different in rank structure than the police department.
Okay, all right, so if we back up,
Yep.
say we go public ways then.
Yep.
Right now, we got 3 operator ones positions available and 1 operator 2. So if those operator ones had qualifications, experience, could we request next year to open up 4 operator 2 positions as opposed to just 2? Would that be? I
This has
think,
never happened in the past. The way grade changes, the grade structure within the city has changed in the past. It's been based on an analysis of with the human resource person involved. And then it was based on a market analysis, and this is what that position should be. I would be honest, as a public works director, I'm a little bit concerned because I've already had a commissioner come into my office saying, well, now we should change to write up some job descriptions to adjust grades. But there's only so many grades and so much that a particular position can handle. And that's why you have a market analysis. That's why you have human resource people involved. And that's how it's happened in the past. This change would be different than what I understand and have seen in the past as far as grade changes. I'm not opposed to Nate going after another grade for people in the fire department. I'm not. And I'm not saying that they're not deserving of it. What I'm saying is it's different than how we've done it in the past. Because it's always been market driven with human resource people doing the study. When the police department changed, that was because human resources looked at it and said that based on market, they should not be grade 9s, they should be grade Mayor, they go to 10s then. I know you were, a little disappointed when that happened, right? But that was based on the work that she had done.
because they were in a lower percentile of the study that you provided.
Yeah, the same thing when the head of the utility department moved up from a 15 to a 16. That was based on an analysis on what he's doing. When the water plant superintendent position was increased, that was because human resource looked at it and said, yes, there's a change there that's happened. Not opposed to anything. I'm not against the fire department at all. I'm just saying this would be different than how we've done it in the past because it's always been market driven in the past, based on analysis of human resource and a citywide review. Because you have to be real careful that the individual department heads aren't cherry picking their own departments to justify grade increases, right? And it's already started. This has already started that snowball to some effect because I was already approached.
And there again, I'm not opposed to them doing something, but if we're setting a precedence for going forward, if somebody else wants to come in and suggest, Joel or whomever says, I want to have X amount of operator 2s and less number of operator 1s, are we going to be comfortable doing that without any type of analysis type of thing?
With what they're trying to do at the fire department, which, unless you understand how fire departments work, it's like a battalion chief in a fire department, that you have responsible charge, the fire department, they gotta all be trained the same every time because we only have one person on at a time for 24 hours. Okay, that person has to have the same knowledge as all of them. And they have to be responsible for 15, 20, 30 volunteers that show up. So they're not only responsible for assuming, until the chief or someone a higher charge comes. And a lot of times these guys are the ones in charge of that. They also assume the extra duties as far as traffic, everything that we have to take care of. We have people in charge of that. So they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. They also have to train the volunteers, and they all have to train the same. We get into this conversation about what you do, but these guys are actually, you got grade 10s that they do the same job. When they show up Monday, this guy does this. Tuesday, this guy does the same thing that they do. So they all have a responsibility on that.
With all due respect, Mayor, the city, you have direct responsible charge for the utility system. That person's carrying that. They're in direct responsible charge for the water system, the sewer system, the storm sewer. They're on call. They have to react. So, until somebody else is mobilized. The same thing with the street department. That person that's on call has
Just 1
to
minute. We'll
call
get
it to
Thank you.
move the snow, to mobilize and be in charge until others arrive. You know, so I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of how that works, so that when a decision's made, you know, if there's some reaching ramifications that come back, everybody's aware of it.
And I'm looking just for clarity for the record.
Sure.
So if it happens to come up again, I don't want to hear like we need to go to our human resource person and do a study type of thing.
Right.
Might be the right thing to do, but if we're doing it here, this is just seems like we're doing it on the fly
Sure.
as much as anything.
Jason, do you have
on
a
the
comment?
fly.
Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't on the fly. This is what Nate proposed when he stood up in front of us last month, that he asked for this.
Right, yeah, and
If you
I
guys
said,
remember that.
and I said, is this something we're gonna decide on during the budget here, or are we gonna have a special meeting to try and hammer it out? Now it's coming through on the budget type of thing, because in the past, it's never been part of the budget or something like that, so it just feels like
Okay.
we're putting it in with the bigger process. I mean, from my experience, something like this, we would have maybe handled individually as opposed to putting it in with this, and not accusing anything like that. I just want clarity for the future as much as anything. And then that's just from experience of being around type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a little different process. In my opinion, it would have been something we probably would have done separately at a meeting and discussed it on its merits at that time, but being just all with the budget, that's why I'm bringing it up.
And I don't want to be in a position where I have to tweak job descriptions to justify increasing grades. You know, because we can, I mean, you can just say, okay, you need to have you need to have your class 2 certification, and it puts the department heads in a little bit of an odd position of trying to put forth their own department rather than citywide, looking at it from an umbrella perspective.
But Mike, you have done some of that. And when I
They were
look at
all
it here.
reviewed, Mayor, by
Yeah,
the,
no, I
you
understand.
know, they were all, the human resource person looked at it
Mhm.
and did a market analysis based on it.
Did the human resource,
All this is for the betterment of the city of Devils Lake and for the fire department to be able to better man. It's,
100% agree with you.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Mayor Mo, members of the commission. What I would say in regards to this, I think I've been pretty open with, with the new auditing department and coming in here with a new budget and a new mayor. We've had to move faster than probably we would have liked to. And you think about the culture that we want to set here with the city of Devils Lake, and we can do all these market analysis and everything. And the one thing that I've really admired about the city of Devils Lake, it has a lot of really good long-term employees, and they get a job here, they raise a family in town, and they stay here for a really long time. One of the things that can incentivize people to do that is to give them a path forward in the organization where they can continue to chase something. And when I got here, our fire chief Nate Bennett said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking working on." I'm like, I think this is a good idea. It helps clearly communicate in kind of an informal contract way with the employee as to what you can do to move forward. Now, is that in just the fire department this go around? Yes, it is. And I think doing that across all departments, the best that we can, clearly communicating certifications, years of experience that we can go in future years. I think that would be an admirable goal, because we want to keep people there looking up, right? I think about my own situation where with my previous employer, I had nowhere to go, and I switched departments because of that. And there was a path forward, and I could see where I was going to go 10 years, 15 years in the future if I decided to stay. And so it's in that spirit that we're working on this, and I think it's a good conversation for the future, and it's something that the city of Devils Lake can do that would make us unique.
And I don't dispute that, Spencer. It's just that when you said long-term employees, some of those long-term employees are maybe an operator 1 right now going, well, I can't be an operator 2 until that position comes open.
or he
And
gets
why am
qualified?
or can I get the qualifications and maybe they'll do the same for me? Let me be an operator 2, potentially. As of now, you're saying no, but is that,
It's a grade, you only have these authorized positions that are listed.
Mhm.
So if you're a grade 7 and there's a grade 9, you don't get the grade 9, no matter how qualified you are, until a grade 9 position is open.
Yeah.
That's the way it currently is structured, right? So you can't, in the military, you could go 1 over, if you had so much time and grade or whatever. No, you can't. That's the way our structure is. your position is this grade, might be this whatever step within that grade, but you can't change grades unless the commission changes the grade structure within that department, or you move to secure a different grade.
Or something significant happens to make it worthwhile, like you had in the water system plant where the treatment plant required a higher level of education and qualification.
If that position were regraded.
Right. And I think that's a direction I'd like to see us go. And maybe we're off to a start, but we're not where we want to be yet. But I'd like to see fair and equitable, equipment operators in all public works, public waste, sanitation, et cetera. They need to be equal, as fair as we can get them up there. I mean, look out for the employee on their best behalf and help them get to where they need to go and give them. But yeah, you can't, there are a top out. Everybody's going to top out at some point, right? It just has to be. And how many positions are you going to allow? That should be based on the type of operation you run. So in the fire department, I think we're saying we allow 3 grade 10 captain positions because of what they're required to do. Okay, that's their job. It's equal. So it'd be like having 3 engineer techs. Okay, they should all be the same level, in my opinion. If we're going to have 3 engineer techs, they should at some point have opportunity to be at the same level. Make sense?
Well, weren't they all grade 9s before?
All firemen they were 9s,
They
just
were
like
all 9s,
officers were
yeah.
9s at one
Right.
time, and then they moved up to grade 10s,
Yep.
et cetera.
So now they're just saying that they're going to have to, they come in with no experience, they're going to come in at a grade 8.
Grade 8, so that until they can get where they have to be, and
So they're-
time and education requirements are going to dictate when they get to the top.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, just for the last statement, so say, next year budget time, Corey comes in and says, I want to make my public service workers, right now they're 4, 5, 6s, and 7s. I think we need to take that to an 8, whatever the case might be. And so we could do that through discussion. We don't have to have a study or something.
I would like to say we should have that opportunity to discuss it if we think it's worth a merit.
And like I say, that's all. I just want that on the record. Otherwise, like I say, it might be making a mountain out of a molehill, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page if we have to have that conversation. Because like I say, I don't think we're going to undo what's proposed right now. I just want to make sure that in the future,
I think we
can
should
have
always
the
listen
opportunity
to,
say,
our department heads and what their concerns are and address individually if necessary, and I think we've done that in the past. People have proposed,
I agree.
grade increases because of significant changes. And that's been brought up,
Maybe it was always reviewed by the human resource.
Yeah,
people, as far as
well,
I'm aware,
but I believe the
it's part
commission
of that process.
should
because
have the final say.
Yeah, no doubt, the commission has final say, always, yeah. But it was always reviewed through that
Yeah.
process. I just don't want to pit one department head against another department head and try and get everybody, and we have great people. But
Mhm.
within Public Works, there's a lot of great people that are working out there. They work very hard. I'd like to see all of them get,
I
the
think
most
it's our
money that
job
they
to
can
take
get.
care of them as much as we can. We got good people. I want to see keeping them and encourage them. I don't always say that we have to be a follower. I'd like to be a leader at some point, so if we can help them out. But there are limits and we have to, know where they are.
And we
But-
find those limits are typically driven by the market, by human resource
Mm-hmm.
doing the study, but just so it's out there.
Yep. So that's the only discussion I had. And like I say, it just,
They're in our 15-minute
yeah,
meeting.
no, that's fine. That's
No,
fine.
that's okay. That's what it,
For the record, I am not against the fire
No,
department.
not at all.
Yeah,
No,
so
not at all.
that's very
Mike,
clear, nothing.
it's,
Nate's doing a great job.
I think if the-
appreciate working with him.
no, if he's fighting for his guys as well as anybody wouldn't fight for their departments and I appreciate
Absolutely.
Okay.
that. So,
So that was the discussion before the motion to approve the
Okay.
proposed budget then, right?
Right.
So you would like a motion to approve the budget as presented. I'll make that motion.
we have a-
I would ask specifically if you could read and do the motion as it is written in the staff report, just as there's a couple of parts to it. The public
Yeah.
hearing and everything.
Has he got it above here? Or
Yeah.
wait? Okay, I guess I don't understand exactly what you're
The
asking
staff
for.
recommended action on the first page of the staff report.
Okay, let me see what that is. I don't have that in front of me, sorry. Is it on the top of the page?
Okay, I see it. Okay, I'll make a
Okay.
motion
Okay.
to approve the fiscal year 2023 preliminary budget and salary plan and set public hearing date for final approval on Monday, September 19th.
Yep. Okay, we have that motion,
I'll second.
seconded by Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? Being no further discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye. Motion passes. And that concludes the meeting. We have nothing else on the agenda, so we cannot address anything else. So meeting adjourned.
I do appreciate the new dress code that the commission allows at the executive meetings.
I set the